before I get to Nick Wright, so PFF came out today with they ranked all the rosters 1 to 32. I'm not going to do that. But I did take free agency, and free agency losses. I considered everything. So we have our coaching moves all set. We have free agency outside of Aaron Rodgers. Again, I think he maybe adds a win to wherever he goes, maybe 2 wins. But I don't think he's changing. He's not changing divisions. Forget about changing the sport. I just don't think he is. It's not a shot on him. I think Russell Wilson, again, could be worth a win to a team that didn't have a right quarterback. But I will tell you what I think based on free agency gains and losses and kind of what teams are going through right now, where we stand with the top 10. I would put Green Bay at 10. They remain the youngest offense in the NFL and the youngest roster. They overpaid for Aaron Banks at guard, but it was a position of need. And again, when you have a young quarterback, you've got to protect him. Now, Jordan Love did not play well in the last month of the season, and that is a concern. Plus, Chicago's better. Minnesota could be really good. The division is very good offensively. I have Green Bay at 10. Denver's going to improve. Good. How good was Bo Nix as a rookie? Well, how good do you think he's going to be year 2 with Sean Payton? They got Evan Ingram, which Sean Payton calls their joker position, like Debo. He can do multiple things. They spent more money on free agency than any playoff team. And again, Bo Nix, an entire offseason with Sean Payton. So getting Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, those are big, instinctive, smart guys who will upgrade the defense. Everybody in the AFC West, including the Raiders, that division's getting really good really fast. The Commanders, their O-line last year was 10. Now they added Laramie Tunsil, a top 3 pass blocker. Debo Samuel is one of the great moves of free agency, the classic chess piece. So this is a team that could get 4 to 5 starters out of the draft, got 2 absolute starters in free agency. And again, Jaden Daniels as a rookie was amazing. Another offseason to learn Cliff's offense. I have him at 8. Really worry about Kansas City. Joe Thuney is one of the more valuable offensive linemen in the league. Left. And they didn't want him to leave. They couldn't afford him. They don't have a left tackle. They paid a lot for Jalen Moore, who's never been a starter. And there's pass rushers all over that division. By the way, they're not going to go 11-0 in one-score games. Raiders are better. Broncos will be better. The Chargers will be better. Listen, it never lasts forever. I think it's going to be a slight pullback here. I still have them as a playoff team. You're not going 11-0 in one-score games. The division now is simply too good. The Chargers, I think Najee Harris, only player in the league, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons behind a bad Steeler O-line and a tone-deaf culture offensively. Now he goes to Harbaugh. By the way, Harbaugh's second year with the Niners got to the Super Bowl. So think of what Jim Harbaugh turned around in one off season. The worst defense to statistically a top 2 defense. Now you get another 7-8 draft picks from a coach who just left college football. Najee Harris, Joe Alt, second year as a starting tackle. I think, like Denver, the Chargers make a big jump. I have them at 6. I worry about the Lions. I like DJ Reed because their pass defense has been lousy for years. I like that pickup. They lost both coordinators, and they're not going to be as clever without Ben Johnson. They're just not. We saw Philadelphia lose both coordinators a couple years ago, and they plummeted. I also think the whole rah-rah thing, I think it works early as you're building a culture, but now the culture, the rah-rah stuff wears down. Are you as good schematically? Because the NFC's getting better fast. I have the Lions at 5. Listen, they got an extension for Josh Allen. I also think Joey Bosa and receiver Josh Palmer are upgrades. The extension, by the way, is fairly team-friendly to allow for some flexibility. I thought for much of the year last year they were the best team, and I think they've upgraded. I think Joey Bosa is a better version of Von Miller, who was expensive and hurt a lot and became kind of a pass rusher only. I have Buffalo at 4. Ravens roster's ranked number 1 by PFF. They got Lonnie Stanley. And again, the number 1 offense last year, I don't see it regressing. This list is not about who's going to win the Super Bowl. It is how do I value your roster and your team right now based on free agency gains and losses and extensions to your best player. I have the Ravens at 3. I thought the Rams crushed. Puna 4 defensive line, that was an area of need, and Devontae Adams, and retain Matt Stafford. And their defense, Thanksgiving on, was arguably the best in the league. Go ask Sam Darnold, sacked 9 times. So this defense is just getting better every month because they're so young and inexpensive. I put the Rams at 2. Go back to that game in the snow in Philly. They're down to the 15-yard line with a chance to go, with 2 turnovers, with a chance to go in for the win. It's a real team heading the right direction. Listen, they didn't overpay for Milton Williams. They had some free agent losses, but they have drafted so well. Philadelphia's number 1. They are smart enough to know who to pay for and who to let go. And I thought all their moves made sense to me. Zach Bond, bringing him back to linebacker, surprised me a little at that price point. But again, I'm going to give Philadelphia the benefit here. It remains the deepest roster with the most dexterity. And with that, Nick Wright is joining us. Probably not in the greatest mood right now, as I have the Chargers at 7.
No, you have the Chiefs at 7.
Chiefs
you have
at
the
7.
Chargers at 6. So Najee Harris worth 7 wins. That's cool. That's sober-minded analysis by America's honesty broker. So let's talk about this for a moment, because you elevated the Bills because you like the Joey Bosa addition so much. If only one could tell what team he left. So Joey Bosa makes the Bills better by going there. The Chargers lose him. They improve. The Chargers, by the way, whose quarterback is tied for, let me do all the math, dead last in NFL history in playoff wins, and the Chiefs quarterback who's second only to Brady in playoff wins, the Chargers who haven't won the division in a decade, and last year, again, won 11 games. The Chiefs won 17 games, and this is the year. This is an annual tradition where you pick a new team to win the AFC West, and then midway through the year, you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Also, and I hate to do this to you because you know how much I love you, but you said the Chiefs didn't want to lose Joe Thuney. Well, was there a gun to Brett Veach's head when he called the Bears and traded him? They didn't lose Joe Thuney. They traded Joe Thuney. So I just got to say, the rest of your bracket feels a lot like we are respecting the teams that were really good last year, except for, of course, the Chiefs, which just makes no sense. And then I'll just ask you this question when we move on. What did the Ravens and Bills do to, forget the Chargers, which is just nonsense, but it's the L.A. warm sea air, I guess, do to get better?
Well,
how did the Ravens and the Bills close the gap?
Because the Chiefs got noticeably worse at left tackle, at offensive. Well, they're getting old.
They got worse at left tackle by signing a player? But they're the only team in the league. They had 4 guys there last year. Yeah. They sign a player, and now they got worse at that position.
Yes.
They're also, according to your analysis, the only team in the league that's not going to participate in the draft, I guess. Every other team, they got these draft picks. They're going to improve in the draft.
Well,
the Chiefs have the Titans' 3rd-round pick, which is like a 2nd-round pick. But go ahead. Tell me more about the team that's been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
Well, it is, I will say, is all these teams, I called it last year, I called it 18 months ago with the Niners, that when you get old, and Chris Jones getting older, and Travis getting older, and here comes Juju Smith getting older, and it's like it's now another receiver got in trouble, and you got to actually get a running back that you can kind of trust. It's just, again, they're not going to go 11-0 in close games. They may go 8-3, but if you look at Harbaugh's history, Michigan, Stanford, everywhere he's been, year 2 is the pop year. He took over the worst team in the league, got him to the playoffs. That team is going to pop with more of his brilliance in the building for a year. So it's okay.
Listen, at one point, I like Harbaugh, and I agreed with you last year that the Chargers could be a playoff team. But at some point, I'm just curious. Is Justin Herbert going to have to earn this benefit of the doubt? Justin Herbert's calling card last year was, doesn't make mistakes, only 2 interceptions all season. And then in the playoff game, he threw more picks in that game than he did all year long. And I like Harbaugh as well. I don't think you think he's better than Andy Reid. So, like, at what point does Justin Herbert have to actually live up to the billing that you have given him for the last half decade? Like, at some point, he's got to, actually play well in a big spot. Once. He's been in the league 5 years. I feel like that's a fair ask. Once. Play big in a big spot.
Well,
right?
This is the year. Stuff isn't true until it happens. And so, Mahomes wasn't great until he was great. And here we go.
Yeah, No, that's wrong. Mahomes was great immediately. Mahomes was great immediately. And Herbert got eaten alive by a Texans team that then got walloped by the Chiefs, who they then beat Buffalo, who had beat Baltimore, and you have them all ahead of Kansas City because they lost Joe Thuney.
The difference is the Chargers played 7 to 8 rookies. They're not rookies anymore. This is going to be a team where they'll probably only get 2 starters out of the draft because they have like a real lineup now. So it's a real team going to – last year, basically, it was a bunch of kids filling holes. This year, they don't have that many holes. They need an edge rusher and probably a tight end. That's about what they need. All right, I want to move on to this. I look at Shedeur Sanders. People are freaking out. And they're saying, well, he's overrated. Well, Daniel Jones was a reach into the first round. I watched Daniel Jones at Duke. I never saw a first-round player. I watched Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. I don't see a first-round player. Shedeur Sanders is the second-best quarterback in the draft by almost all, executive accounts.
Sure.
Is he the third pick? Well, that's what the Giants have. Your take on if you were given the choice and you knew your job was on the line, would you go with better now Aaron or Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, well, no. I would absolutely not get in the Aaron Rodgers business. I mean, there is no question whatsoever that I think that is a non-starter for any team that is serious about winning football games in 2025. I do not understand why this player who has not been above average by any metric in 4 years, and 4 years ago he was awesome, but 4 years ago was 2 teams and a torn Achilles ago, and he's now 41, going to be 42 this season. So I certainly wouldn't sign Aaron Rodgers. Shedeur does make me nervous, though, and I do think that it is fair to say that if Shedeur were in last year's quarterback class, would he have been the 6th or 7th quarterback off the board? And this year, is he being elevated because it appears to be such a weaker class that being the second best quarterback in the draft might still mean you're the 25th best player in the draft? I understand why a lot of people believe the Giants have to take him because Shane and Dable have to get that position right. So I get that. But I don't have any concerns about Shedeur, the guy, the person. I think the fact that, he has an ego, all that stuff I think is nonsense. I do have concerns about whether or not he is going to translate to the pros and whether or not the offense they were running at Colorado prepared him for the pros. But if you're telling me it's one of 2 options, Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur, I would obviously take Shedeur.
So I was talking about this earlier, is that the Warriors have a little issue, is that Steph looks exhausted. I watched the Nuggets-Warriors last night. Warriors had no energy. And so, but the difference with the Lakers and the Warriors, when Steph sits out, they lose all their offensive oxygen. Butler's not a dominating scorer. Either is Draymond. Kuminga's hot and cold. Yet, and I've always been, a little passive on my love for Austin Reeves, when LeBron leaves, both Austin and Luka are great offensive initiators. They drive. They get fouls. They go to the line. They score. Now, Austin Reeves to me, has shown real value when LeBron's out. Now, when LeBron comes back, he's not dropping 30. He's not going to get the ball as much. Rui's going to get more looks. Jackson Hayes is going to get more pogo stick looks. Sure. But I will say, LeBron leaves, Lakers can score 120. Steph gets in foul trouble or leaves, there's not a lot of offense. To me, I think to myself, that is the difference, Lakers-Warriors, is that LeBron's figured out, I got a tweaked groin. Daddy's going to go home and take a nap. See him 3 weeks. That's what the Lakers are doing. LeBron's like, hey, we can win this thing. I just want to be rested.
They can win. They can win this thing. I do. Again, not to be too combative. Did you phrase your Austin Reeves takes as passive in my love for Austin Reeves, or I would maybe use a different phrase, openly skeptical, if not outright antagonistic about Austin Reeves historically. But listen, the shorter version of what you said is the Lakers have Luka Doncic and the Warriors don't.
Yes.
Luka is an offense unto himself, and Austin Reeves is a very, very good third option. And here's what I wonder, if from LeBron watching, because nobody is shocked at all by how great Luka has been. Even though last night he was, 5 of 20 from the field. He actually, his shot hasn't been what it normally is, but the last few weeks we've seen him look like Luka Doncic. People are probably surprised by the explosion offensively from Austin Reeves. I wonder if LeBron watching this, if when he comes back, he does something that Broussard has talked about, that he's always had available to him, but has never been on a team where it would make sense, which is take on more of the traditional power forward, almost Karl Malone role, which is, I'm going to get you 25 plus and 10 rebounds while allowing Luka and some Austin to run the offense while running it occasionally. Because the fact of the matter is this, the Warriors have looked, prior to last night, really, really good, but that was still a team that I felt was probably a guy short. Yeah. I gave them credit for the 14-2 run, but no one is LeBron. Steph is 37 and wearing down a bit. LeBron is 40, and when he was playing as well as he had played in the last 3 years or so. But it's not, the point is, as good as playoff Jimmy can be, he's not Luka. And offensively, there's only one other guy in the league that can generate what Luka does, and that's Joker. And so I think that the Lakers have a really good shot of coming out of the Western Conference. And I look at the Western Conference right now as the Thunder are understandably the favorites, but the Lakers are right next to them, and those two teams are head and shoulders above the rest of the conference.
By the way, circle back to the NFL. I thought Denver did very well. I thought the Rams did very well. They got the right players at the right price. Yeah. I thought, DJ Reed of the Lions for a unit was smart. Like I said this earlier, offensive line is a cohesion unit. The Bears' O-line will be better. It may not be better in September. You can't add 3 new starters who have never played together and and who, by the way, veterans don't play in the preseason, especially O-linemen. So the Bears will be very good. It may be Thanksgiving when that O-line clicks. Is there a team that you thought won free agency?
This is the one part of your tiers or your herd hierarchy that I agree with. Yeah, I would say the Rams. I would say the Rams because, one, they avoided what, to me, would have been a totally self-inflicted catastrophe of moving off Matt Stafford. I have no idea why you would do that. He's obviously in the argument for the best quarterback in that conference. So as long as he wants to keep playing, I think that makes sense. I think they'll get one really good year out of Devontae Adams. They have drafted really well. And so that they've kind of replenished and revamped that defensive line. So I thought the Rams being able to add a couple pieces, but most notably keeping Matt Stafford, made them the biggest winners of free agency, because they would have been such losers of free agency for no reason by moving off Stafford. So I agree with you on the Rams piece of it. This is kind of always how it goes for you, Colin. You see the NFC so clearly, and the AFC, it's all foggy and all confusing to you. But if we combined my AFC predictions and your NFC predictions, we'd probably never lose a bet. It'd just be untouchable. But there get wires crossed for some reason.
For the record, I had all 4 AFC division winners, and I had Denver as the surprise team in the league. Yeah. That may have just been lost in the fog, but I was...
Well, yeah, listen, I know you did, and I give you credit on Denver. However, picking the 4 teams that won the divisions last year to do it again is not quite as hard as you make it out to be. Who do you like in the AFC? Oh, I'll take Patrick, Josh, and Lamar, and then I guess in the South, CJ. Like, yes, you did get that, Colin, but that, again, I just try to, like, Colin Cowherd, I go to you for a lot of things, and the NFC takes are spot on. The AFC takes, it just, you know, hit and miss at times. I'm just being honest. You know I love you.
All right. Nick Wright. First things first, he's the star of the show. That's coming up after ours. Good seeing you, buddy. Always well dressed.